Welcome to the lab prep video for week 7. In this lab you're going to be given a sheet that contains and shows multiple different station models for various cities across the US. Your job is going to be interpreting those station models. So you have a table that lists off each of those station models for each of those 2 different days. And so you're going to be completing that chart. So you're going to be determining the exact conditions from that station model. So you can use 2 different resources. You can use your textbook. There's a great appendix towards the end of your text. Every edition's different, so depending on which year you have, it might be a different appendix number and page number, so just make sure you look for the station model appendix. You can also use this online media. It's called the station model media in the course page. This is an example of a station model that you could possibly be using to interpret the weather conditions. This example, if we scroll over each of these green circles, it will highlight where that item is. So in this case, we're looking at the air temperature. It's in Celsius. 9 degrees is what's listed. And also up top, when you scroll over that air temperature, you'll see a description of exactly what that station model is indicating. So that one's pretty self-explanatory. You can also get cloud type. Sometimes cloud type is not reported. So if you don't have a cloud type, you're just going to leave it blank, put NA, put a little dash in the box because you won't always have these. And depending on the quality of the image that you're getting this data from, you might notice that there's some that don't necessarily fit into these categories, so use your best judgment. You're also going to be determining the percent cloud cover. In this case here, it's determined by what's in that circle. In this case, this would be cloud cover of 4/8. The page number in this media is for an older version of the book, so make sure that you're not looking there because you're not going to find anything. Make sure you're looking at the appropriate page. Again, station model information in the appendix. Then you're going to determine the wind direction. So you'll use that little kind of, I guess, arm sticking off that circle to determine the wind direction. And this is telling you the wind is coming from the southeast. So you don't have to do the reverse for this because it's telling you where it's coming from. Then you're going to determine the wind speed, and depending on how many feathers are on this arm, it will tell you a different speed, and you're going to be using kilometers per hour for this. And this information is in your textbook. Again, the page number might not be correct. You're also going to determine the air pressure, so to save printing and space, the air pressure is abbreviated. So in this case here, our number that's reported is 120. That's not your air pressure. You need to add 10 to the front of this number. So your air pressure would really be 1012.0. So you're adding a 10 to the front and you're putting in a decimal place at the end of your number. So if your number, your first integer, in this case we have a 1, if you have anything other than, if it's going to be a 1, a 2, you're going to be adding a 10. If you are have an 8 or a 9, between 700 and 999, you are going to put a 9 in front of it. So when you start reading through these station models, hopefully you will remember this. So anything between 700 and 999, you're putting a 9 in front of it, and you're also still adding that decimal place. If it's anything else, anything above that, you're going to add a 10, and then again add that decimal place in. You're also going to determine the barometric tendency. This would stay, and that's this funny little symbol here that you see next to the station model. So I know the space on your lab is very small, so you're going to abbreviate and just give me the gist of what that tendency indicates. And again, these symbols are in your textbook. And then the last one is going to be the barometric tendency. This is how much the pressure is changing. And here you're going to see a plus sign or a minus sign if it's rising or falling. and then a number. Here it's 15, but that's not our tendency. We need to add a decimal place in there. So this would interpret to be 1.5. So let's say you had a barometric tendency of, let's say, 100. You would add a decimal place in there and it would be 10.0. So two things you're going to have to adjust in your station model media or your station models on anytime it's reported. You're going to have to alter the air pressure and the tendency for the barometric pressure. So please let me know if you have questions. When you get to the second part of this lab, or the third part, you're going to be creating a weather map using conditions from these station models and also from some data that's been collected for you. And if you're you might want to look back to the air pressure and winds lab from week 5. This should look familiar. You might want to look at this because these are the conditions for April 2nd and April 1st, 1982. If you're using a more recent version of this lab, the station models and this data may not be from April 1st and 2nd from 1982. It might be something more recent. If that's the case, then you've watched the wrong video. Hopefully that isn't the case. So I will see you in lab.